What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. You know, we talk about a lot of players on the Clippers. We talk about players who are overlooked and underrated and not getting the credit they deserve in regards to, you know, their flowers, in regards to how they're playing as a team, as a unit, and the way they're finding ways to win has been more than impressive. Probably one of the most impressive teams this season, if you want to be honest about it. But there's definitely players on the Clippers that we look at and say that this guy is really, really good, you know, and a lot of people may not look at that player that way, but, you know, as basketball fans, and, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're a Clippers fan or not, you have to acknowledge when a player is playing good. And to me, there's one player on the Clippers that I feel that, you know, hasn't reached his peak, hasn't reached his ceiling, hasn't reached his heights yet. And that one player, to me, is Luke Kennard. When I look at Luke Kennard, I definitely feel like he's not just a three-point shooter. Even though he is a deadly three-point shooter, he shoots 44 to 46% from the field the last few years in the league since he's been in, you know, especially with the Clippers. You know, he shoots at a high clip, a high rate, and he makes them at a high rate too. But really the one thing I look at when I think about Luke Kennard, I feel like he could be that X factor for them in playoff games. I know I've looked a lot at Terrence Mann and said Terrence Mann could be that guy, and I definitely feel like he still can be, you know, but I feel like his energy is fed a lot off of, or he feeds a lot off Luke Kennard's energy, because him and Luke Kennard, they pretty much are in the same situation. You know, both of them, like dating back to last year, both of them came off the bench. Both of them made a huge impact when they came into games, and both of them were expected to do that every time they stepped on the floor while Kawhi and PG was there. Now they're expected to do more because Kawhi and PG isn't there. And Terrence Mann has been showing a lot more promise here lately. During the other part of earlier in the season, he wasn't doing so great, but he wasn't doing bad either. But really, Luke Kennard has been a real big addition to this team in regards to how he's played and how he's come up big this season and how he's kind of stepped up to the plate. You know, there's been a lot of games this season where the Clippers could have lost, whether they were down 25, 35, hell, maybe even, you know, 25 plus points several games. You know what I'm saying? He was the big part of the reason why they made comebacks. He was a big part of the reason why they sustained leads in regards to when he was able to come into the game and just come in and you know, play freely and get the green light. And every time Ty Lue gives him the green light, he usually always hits a big shot or, you know, scores very efficiently when he's out there and plays both ends of the floor. Even though he's not a really good defender, he's a really feisty, crafty type defender. And what I mean by that is when you put Luke Kennard on somebody on the defensive end, he doesn't back down from the challenge. He doesn't waver. He doesn't stand back. He gets right up in them. He plays defense. He smells their breath pretty much on defense. You know, he'll definitely put his effort in to try to, you know, discourage, get turnovers, steals. And he's definitely very, very underrated when it comes to that, because I've seen him guard players where he moves his feet really well without fouling a lot. And that's the one thing you got to admire about players. To be a really good defensive player, one thing you got to be able to do is move your feet and not your hands as much. You can keep your hands in position to get the steal when the opportunity comes, but moving your feet is the key, because if you can keep up with that player and don't let them get around you and get an easy layup to the basket, you're making it harder for them to score, and you're making them take a more difficult shot, which is in your favor to alter their shot and give your team the possession back so you can score on the other end. So with that being said, every time I've looked at Luke Kennard, or should I say a lot of times I've looked at him play, he moves his feet really well on defense, even though he's not the best defender, but he will get dirty on defense and go out there and try to make things happen. And we know on the offensive end, You don't want to leave him wide open for three. And then on top of that, lately, I'd say this year specifically, I've been watching him more. He's starting to learn to take the ball off take somebody off the dribble, go to the basket more, throw up a little floater. I see he's starting to work on that. He's starting to, find ways to get to the basket and getting a high quality shot instead of taking threes all the time. There's a lot of times where Luke Kennard, a lot of games I've watched him, he's taking threes when he's wide open specifically. Sometimes he'll take some threes, with somebody in his face if he has to, drill the three. But his main thought process is, I'm looking for a high percentage, high efficiency shot. And when you have players who think like that, that is great basketball IQ. Always try to find the higher quality shot rather than take the shot that you feel like you can make every time. Luke Kennard could probably shoot three-pointers over anybody at any point in time, but that's not a high-quality shot because he knows Kawhi Leonard and PG is not on the floor. So when you take shots like that, you have to make sure that they go in, because if they don't, they cost you on the other end, because the other team has superstar players. They could put the ball in their hands and isolate the situation and go out there and score. The Clippers don't. So the Clippers' MO is having high IQ players, or players to understand basketball from a different level, to get their IQ higher, to help them win games and play situational basketball better than most teams around them. And that's exactly what Ty Lue has implemented to this team. And that's exactly one of the things that a lot of players on this team have adopted. And Luke Kennard is one of them. The more and more you watch Luke Kennard, you understand what he's doing when he's out there. He is a deadly three-point shooter, no doubt about it. I mean, he definitely could have won the three-point shootout contest, definitely had an opportunity to win it. He came so close. But I definitely believe he'll win it if he's in it like another year or something like that. But Luke Kennard is definitely a deadly three-point shooter. He's left-handed at that. So definitely left-handed players always have the advantage over right-handed players. They just always seem to do, especially, if they're movable, if they like to move off the dribble, don't stay stagnant. A left-hand player can almost get to the rim anytime they want to. It's just, I don't know, something about a left-handed player playing against most right-handed players. They just always seem to have that mental advantage for some reason. But I mean, Luke Kennard definitely likes to take people off the dribble at times, and he definitely likes to take the higher percentage shot. And I think that's what's helped the Clippers, be a better team, watching players like him understand the little things about basketball that a lot of other teams don't get, or a lot of other teams don't implement. And I feel like his ceiling is a lot higher than what people think, because he can, what they believe Terrence Mann to be on this team, or what he could be, Luke Kennard can actually be that. Because when you think of Terrence Mann, you think of more of a slasher to the basket. Somebody making a splash play, a dunk, or, cutting to the basket, playing defense, which he's very, very good at doing. Terrence Mann is a really good defender. He's a very good wing defender too, to be a young player. But at the same time, his offense really isn't polished like that. But when you look at Luke Kennard, he may not be the defender Terrence Mann is or something like that, but his offensive game is very polished, and he will scrap and play hard on defense where he doesn't cheat you on defense. So it's like when you look at Luke Kennard, his ceiling really hasn't eclipsed to where it could be, because he can not only be, I think he's already a top shooter in the NBA of all the NBA, but I think he can be even more of a household name in the NBA as far as like an all-star type player. I definitely think Luke Kennard, I could see him making a couple all-star games if he keeps elevating his game and keep trying to, push himself to that next level. I definitely think he can, because I don't think he's just a shooter. I think he could take people off the dribble, as I said, get to the basket. He got a nice floater, good free throw shooter, of course, great shooter, can shoot from anywhere on the floor, can spot up. And like I said, he definitely, helps a lot on defense by causing turnovers, things like that. And with him shooting a high percentage the way he does, he can definitely be the Clippers' third or fourth scorer. I mean, he really can. I mean, Reggie Jackson is the third leading scorer for the Clippers, but coming off the bench, Luke Kennard can really be their number 4 scorer. He really can be. He can really actually solidify that role. And, his 6'5" frame, the way he plays, it might be a situation where eventually, he could possibly be, in the starting lineup. I don't know if that's ever going to happen or anything like that. I guess depending on how long they keep him and who else gets traded or something like that over time. But Luke Kennard can really, his potential is really a lot higher than what people think it is. And like I said, I can see him, he finds his way possibly in the next year or two or something like that, whatever, in the starting lineup for the Clippers, and playing at the level that he plays at. I can possibly see him making an all-star game because he definitely has that type of talent. He definitely shows that, with his shooting ability and the impact he makes on games. Yeah, he definitely could make an all-star game because all-star game is about players who can score the ball, but more so players who makes an impact in a game also. And he definitely makes an impact for the Clippers just because of what they need from him and what they ask from him and what he's able to deliver. And like I said, without Kawhi and PG, he's been one of their best players on the floor since both of them have been down. Well, Kawhi didn't play none this year, but since Paul George went down, and even without Kawhi Leonard playing this year, he's been one of their most consistent players when he's been out there, unless he was out due to COVID or something like that. But I definitely think his ceiling is high, and I definitely think a lot of people will, definitely give him more respect, going forward in his career, because I think he can definitely, do some good things for the Clippers. And like I said, I could definitely see him making an all-star game possibly, if he gets the green light and the opportunity. And, Ty Lue definitely will. I believe Ty Lue will definitely find a way to give him the green light because he's one of the major players that they actually have. You know what I'm saying? He's actually one of the consistent ones too. So when you look at that, and like I say, he's only averaging like 11 points this year. But I mean, I think he could bump that up to 16, 17 easily, if he chose to. And, like I said, possibly find his way into a all-star game one day. You never know. But I definitely think his ceiling is high, and I definitely think the Clippers adore his game. And I definitely think the Clippers value him a lot because, like I said, when you look at their team, he's one of the names that come to your mind in the forefront. Luke Kennard is one of the ones that comes to your mind. Like Reggie Jackson's good. Of course, Marcus Morris, all of them, that's fine. But Luke Kennard is definitely the one that, strikes people's attention when it comes to the Clippers. And when you look at him more so now than ever, because not only because he was in the 3-point shootout contest, but he definitely has a lot of talent, a lot of high ceiling. And I think that's something that Ty Lue is going to open up a lot more for him. And the trust between each other is building more. So I feel like the more Ty Lue trusts you, the more he's going to put you in situations to shine. And I feel like that's what Luke Kennard is going to get. And I feel like he's definitely going to help the Clippers win a championship, possibly if they can get Kawhi and PG back. He'll definitely be a big part of that anyway. But hey, that's my take on everything. You leave any comments in the comment section as always. And hey, Cali out.